now I have selected my 3 colored pencils that I want to work with, and I have my objects drawn on my sheet. So it's time to start selecting what colors do you want to be on each surface. I generally start with the lightest color on the top, because if this way had an object and the light was shining down on it like the sunlight of the day, the top would be the lightest colored object. It would get the most sun. So obviously we would want that to be the lightest color on its top. Then if you're thinking about it, over on the front side is going to be your next color, or that we'll be working with. And again, it should be in the lighter range, because again, if the light is coming in at it at this diagonal, this is going to be lighter than, say, over here on the right side. So I would put the darkest color over on your right side. Now again, the colors really don't matter, but what I would like you to do is try to be consistent with your coloring and make sure that each one of the object sides are the same color all the way through your practice activity. Okay, so now that I have my object all colored in with my 3 pencils, what you can do is take a Sharpie and line it up to the edge. Now it has to be a fine point Sharpie. And you're going to line it up right to your object lines and then just trace over the top of them. Nice and neat now. You don't want to draw off of your lines, your object lines that you've already created, because then that's not going to give it a sharp edge line. So make sure you're lining up your straight edge carefully when you're doing this process. And again, you need to have a ballpoint pen or a fine, ultra fine Sharpie to do this process to make sure it stays nice and neat. The other technique that you can do is you can draw these lines prior to coloring. So again, if you want to do it prior to, that's again an option, and there are multicolored options for you to work with the Sharpies. Okay, so now I'm ready to continue coloring. And again, as you're coloring your objects, you need to spend a moment and think, okay, I have to draw all of the surfaces that are pointing as the top surface. So again, this is pointing actually up. This is the inside of the cube, of this block that we have, but it's really, this surface edge is pointing upward towards us. So this is the top. So it's going to be the same color as the top of your block. And then the same thing when you're working with the front side. This is the front of your block. So therefore, this is pointing towards the front. So it also has to be green. So you kind of have to think a little bit as you're coloring to make sure when you're filling these in that you give them all the right colors as you're working. And then of course the right side we already designated is going to be the brown. Now you can see this when you're looking at my other sheet that I have finished, that I was drawing these to make sure that I have the orange, which is the top surface. This one down here, this is pointing upward. This is going to be the front, and again, it's pointing this way. So therefore, I need to draw this in the purple. This piece here is also pointing in this direction. And then this is going to be the right side. It's pointing to the right. Well, inside this cube, this surface is again pointing to the right. So you kind of have to think, you know, am I going to the right? Is the line going this way? Or is the line showing me the top of the object? So I'd like you to take a look at these 2 different themes that I've created. Again, I used the lighter color on the top surface, and then I used complementary colors on the side or on the front of the object. Again, take your time, think about a color theme that you would like to use. Remember, you're choosing 3 colors. Use some creativity when you're picking your colors and have a little bit of fun as you're creating and coloring your isometric objects.